Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing a little Texas race review. And Texas is back. This was probably one of the best Texas races in years. They've really perfected. They made some aero changes to the aero this weekend. I kind of had my doubts on what it was, but they announced it was going to add a little bit of downforce. They did various things, and I didn't think it would really do anything. But if you've seen the race, this race was definitely one of the best races we've seen in many years at Texas. Texas has always been kind of a boring race normally, but this was a really good race. There was overtaking, they could overtake lap traffic really easily. That was always a problem in recent years where lap traffic was always getting in the way. And yeah, so let's get right into this review. So of course, let's talk about the winner. So Joseph Newgarden was always going to be the strongest guy coming into it. He was kind of the obvious pick. I know, like in my video yesterday, if you watched that, I picked Sato to win, but, that was always kind of that was kind of just my long shot guess. But I always knew that, that Newgarden was going to potentially win. Hence why I didn't really predict him to win, because that was the obvious choice. It was clear. It's clear he's good at this track. I'm pretty sure he won last year, and I believe he won the year before. So it's clear he has some domination. He's really good at this track, And then Pato O'Ward had a good run, and he kind of got screwed a little on some of the pit strategies, but he ended up getting back in it because there was a bunch of caution. But then it kind of ended under caution, which we're going to get onto the ending under controversy later on in the video. So yeah, we're going to kind of take this review in chronological order. So the first stint from the drivers was, Newgarden had a pretty good advantage in the first stint. He was good, and then the pit stops, he was still there, and then Pato Ward was in it. And then besides from the racing, we had the pit lane controversy, what I want to get into. So there was a little bit of controversy so Kyle Kirkwood actually took out Rossi from the pit lane, and what happened was he dived straight from the fast lane into his pit box. And from my understanding, from what I kind of heard from the commentary, I'm not the most knowledgeable on how the pit lane, all the ins and outs of how the pit lane works. But from what my understanding is, the fast lane is for when you want to go down the pit lane and you're getting ready to go back on track or whatever. And then when you want to go into your pit box, you're meant to go into the middle lane, which is almost like the turn lane. And then you go into your pit box. But what happened was Kyle Kirkwood was on the outside lane. He dived straight into his pit box. But then, and I was completely on the whole, he was in the wrong, why did you do that? That's kind of a stupid move. But then later on, they were showing more replays of more pits, and it seemed like everyone was doing it. So there was clearly a precedent that basically that was the undersized fig. You went straight from that outside lane and you dived into your pit box. So I guess it was Rossi's team what unsafely released him, but I don't really know. There needs to be some more clearance on that rule. I don't think that was very clear to the teams and the drivers, and even the commentators. The commentators were completely on board with the whole, it was Kyle's fault, but then it kind of got explained, and then it wasn't Kyle's fault, and it was just a bit of a mini controversy, but I think that needs to be investigated more, so that definitely needs to be brought up. IndyCar needs to be extremely clear, and I will give IndyCar very good props. They are very clear on some of their rules. They stick to their rules, and we don't want to become F1 where we just make rules up. I mean, that's part of the reason a lot of people watch IndyCar is because F1 is not stupid, but they have some weird rules that don't really make sense. We need consistency in this sport. So let's highlight some of the crashes that happened. So I think the first caution came out was Sato crash. He just hit the wall. I think he was on the high line. He just lost it, what was unfortunate for him. So and then the second caution when Felix Rosenqvist got too high up on the marbles, and he hit the wall pretty hard. Luckily he was okay, but I guess that was the only disadvantage they kind of did get, because they had that highline practice. I think a lot of the drivers got a bit more confidence on the highline compared to previous years where they didn't really practice the highline. So they kind of built up confidence. They trusted the car was going to stick up there, and the car did not stick, which is kind of unfortunate. But I think overall having that practice for the upper lane was actually a good thing, because it gave a lot of drivers a lot more confidence in there, because we've seen a lot more drivers actually taking risks and using it. But obviously it was a case of risk and reward, like, as we've seen with Sato and Felix Rosenqvist and a few other guys where they just kind of had a bit too much confidence. There was a fine line there. And then towards the end of the race, this is where kind of the caution ville just started. So it started with Stingray Robbie hit the wall. He kind of got up there he kind of had a little wiggle. What wasn't a big deal, but because he was so high, it kind of wiggled him into the wall, and then he tried to just kind of guide himself out of that corner because it was mid-corner by riding the wall, and then his front suspension failed and it just caused him to drift over to the inside wall and destroy his car, what was kind of unfortunate for him, but it was a good learning experience for him. This is his first oval, so this is, well, first oval in IndyCar, so this was a good learning experience for him. He's going to learn not to trust the Highline as much as he did, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. I do have a lot of confidence in Stingray Rob. When I looked at him in my original video where I looked at all the IndyCar drivers, I was kind of critical of him, but after seeing how he's driving this year, I'm actually really surprised, and I'm really excited to see what he can do when he actually gets some experience under his belt. Maybe next year, maybe he can do something a little better. And then the next caution we had was Devlin DeFrancesco and Graham Rahal, which is kind of unfortunate because this was the second retirement for Devlin DeFrancesco this year and the second year running that Graham Rahal retired from Texas, which is kind of unfortunate. I was kind of confused in the broadcast. It was kind of unclear what happened with Devlin. It kind of seemed like he maybe had some suspension failure and he was almost like drifting up the track, and then Graham Rahal was basically a passenger in that crash, where it's just unfortunate. It's kind of an unfortunate. I think he was having a pretty good race so far. That was kind of just disastrous. And then finally, the last caution was, unfortunately, Romain Grosjean. He crashed out for the second race running. It's kind of unfortunate. I believe he also crashed out last year too, which is kind of unfortunate. He seemed to run really well. Like, I remember when he crashed out before, he was running pretty well too last year, and then he just kind of got caught out towards the end of the race. And that's also what happened at the 500 too last year. He was running pretty well, and then he got caught out towards the end of the race. It's really unfortunate. So, yeah, there was a pretty clean race for the first, 150 laps. Like, there was only one. There was a Sato right at the beginning of the race, but that was over pretty fast. But then once they got to like lap 50, everyone just started crashing. It's like everyone just forgot how to drive, or I don't know what happened, or I guess it. So now I'm going to talk about some of the best takeaways or some of the best drivers from this race. Please note, I'm not going to talk about, there's so many drivers that had a really good race, but I need to fit this video into a reasonable time slot, and I was considering if any of you would be interested in seeing a more longer kind of post-race show, like a 20 or 30 minutes, almost like a podcast style, kind of just raw, uncut, like just webcam style video. But I don't really know. I've only started doing this YouTube channel for a few months now, so I'm still trying to get my bearings about what everyone likes and what I think will do well. So give me your opinions in the comments, what you think about that. So anyway, of course, how can we not talk about David Malukas? David Malukas came fourth again. I believe he got a podium in, was it Gateway or, I can't remember what the exact track it was last year, but he got a podium at one of the ovals last year, and it was really impressive. And now he almost got a podium too. I mean, he was in the shop for the race at that point. He was basically in the top group. He was basically fighting for the win almost, and he could have got a win, what would have just been like the most insane ton of events ever. But he got fourth position, which is, I mean, it's just amazing. Granted, if you look at the people behind him, he had Scott Dixon behind him, Scott McLaughlin, Colton Herder, all these huge names that, have been in the sport for 10 years, and the fact that he can come in and do extremely well is really a testament to the kind of raw driving talent this guy has, and I can't wait to see what he does. I definitely think this guy is gonna see some wins out of this guy, and maybe a championship or two throughout his career, so we'll have to see how this guy does. Next up, we're going to talk about Callum Ilott. He also managed to get 9th overall, that's really good. I think this is his second year in IndyCar. I didn't believe he ran ovals this year, so I believe this is his first oval season, so it's really cool to see him doing so well at ovals, especially because he he grew up in Europe. He's from the UK. He did the whole F1 ladder, go-karting, F4, F3, F2, and it's just amazing to see that. It's amazing to see how adaptable these Europeans are, because I don't think a lot of people had that much bigger expectation of people adapting to ovals, because ovals aren't a thing anywhere outside the United States. So it's cool to see Europeans coming over to IndyCar and doing well. I love to see it. Next up, we're going to talk about the lap traffic. So this year, the lap traffic was actually amazing. The leaders had no problems overtaking lap traffic. That was always a problem in recent years. This racing always was the most exciting race, but the fact that basically the leaders lapped the whole entire field was just insane. I remember it was only lap 30, and they were already coming up on on the back markers, what was just like, what's going on? And then at that point, it was just crazy. So I'm glad to see that overtaking traffic has been kind of fixed for this year, and I pray that this is kind of going to be the case in all the ovals coming forward. So I know they made aero improvements for this race, and then there's plans for aero improvements for the 500 too. So hopefully we could see some better racing at the 500. I don't know if we'll necessarily see the kind of this race was almost like pack racing towards the end. It was like there was the top 6 were like, 2x2. It was pretty insane, but also kind of scary. Like, I mean, cars going 200, 210. It was bonkers to see. Not seen that in a long time. It's crazy. Next, we're going to talk about the thing what was kind of a controversy. Well, I don't know if it was necessarily a controversy in my opinion, but the race, Romain Grosjean crashed with like 2 to go, and then the race finished under yellow, which in my opinion, I completely think that's fine. I mean, Pato O'Ward could have overtook Newgarden, but he was right there. They were neck and neck. I do think Pato could have potentially done it, but it was like, it was anyone's race at that point. But I don't necessarily think finishing under yellow is a bad thing. It's like, that's racing. It sucks. But we don't want to become NASCAR when they have the stupid yellow and white well, I don't watch NASCAR that much, but they have the stupid like thing where they have a 2-lap shootout, and then if there's a caution, they redo the 2-lap shoot, and then there's a caution, they redo it, and they can redo it like unlimited time, so they can literally be there for like 45 minutes, and that happens normally. It's like, what? 45 minutes to complete 2 laps? It's just insane. And it's almost like people just crash on purpose because they didn't get a good start. They're like, oh, I'm just going to take that guy out. I didn't get a good start. It's just insanity. And then I think finishing on a caution is kind of no one likes finishing on a caution, but it's better than, throwing out a safety car and doing stuff and redoing stuff. It just looks stupid. We don't want to become F1 or NASCAR. We want to be IndyCar. This is the reason IndyCar is awesome, because IndyCar is different from every other sport. We don't have stupid rules. And then finally, this is kind of just going to be a little rant from me. This is mainly on Peacock. So I watched the IndyCar race on Peacock because it's the easiest way to watch it. But if you watch it on Peacock, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For some reason, IndyCar runs ads at the pit stops. For some reason, every single time there's a pit stop, some guy in the freaking back is just like, you know what? No one likes watching the pit stops because the pit stops is the most useless part of the race. We're just gonna run an ad right here. Like, what? Why? Who told you running an ad during a pit stop would be a good idea? That's the most ludicrous, stupid idea I've ever heard in my whole entire life. Like, they should just do a system where they maybe they should just delay the broadcast and then put an ad somewhere in the middle of the broadcast where there's no action. Like, I don't want to, they do it all the time. They're all like, oh, we're going on ad break right now. And through the broadcast, like, for example, at the beginning of the race, they even had predictions like, oh, NTT Data has predicted the pit stops are going to be at lap 53. So then someone at NBC's like, you know what? I think we should do an ad break at lap 51 right before the pit stop start. What a genius move. It's like, what? Who had that idea? That's just insane. It's just run ads. I don't really like ads running, but I understand you need money to fund stuff, and IndyCar isn't as big as F1 or whatever, so they need all the marketing and advertising money. I'm fine with that, but run the ads at normal times. And I think a lot to do with it is they know that more people are tuned in at lap 53, and at lap 26 where there's nothing really going on, people are probably just going to grab a snack or making coffee at that time. But it's just annoying. Just run it. I don't know. So anyway, my rant's over there. I don't know if anyone agrees with me there. If anyone watch on Peacock, it's just frustrating. So yeah, that's gonna be about it for this video. So this is a bit of a longer video because I had to talk about a lot of stuff, and I was just scratching the surface on this video. I can talk for another 15 minutes, but I'm just kind of scratching the surface on this whole race because it was an awesome race. IndyCar oval racing is back. Hopefully we can see more awesome IndyCar racing video. Hopefully we can have a good 500 this year. If the 500's even half as good at this race, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be insane, even if it's half as good. So they're making more aero changes at the 500. So hopefully them aero changes can be good. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.